Hello there, BoBo the Bitcoiner is back. Today I will start with something that is more serious topic, which is the foreign or reserve currency. All right. In times to come, a new benchmark reserve currency will be bond. No more US dollars. Okay. A currency that can be recognized by the whole world. Everyone practically. And of course, this points to Bitcoin technology. Bitcoin transaction technology will be adopted, the sooner the better. Simply being the fastest and cheapest is already proven. On top of that, it can be transacted 24/7, 365 days. It's something that never possible before. On top of that, not a single transaction did not go through or missing from the Bitcoin blockchain in its 15 or almost 15 years of existence. So effective, so beneficial, so genuine, and most of all, it cannot be hacked. Something again we never thought possible until Bitcoin comes along. Yet, no country is willing to adopt Bitcoin. Why? It's simple, right? Because it meant the government is losing control of its own sovereign currency. But they are prepared to explore the central bank digital currency, CBDC, that would use Bitcoin's technology that enable fast, cheap, and 24/7, 365 patronage. CBDC, of course, allowed government to control its centralized blockchain and enable them to produce more CBDC dollar whenever needed. The big question is how to formulate an acceptable CBDC. And the biggest hurdle is people do not like their government to know how they spend their money, where they spend their money, and when, and to whom. In other words, their privacy must be respected. China is probably the only country who can apply CBDC successfully because people trust government to a large extent. In fact, they are already halfway there with the cashless transaction like WeChat Pay and Alipay. All transactions already known to the government if they so wish. I was in China this week. I used Alipay to settle most of my purchases. It's so easy and simply too convenient. And the Chinese government know every single transaction that goes on. Whereas in the West, people don't trust their own government at all. The West may have to follow China's way of doing by promising the people that if a purchase is made within a certain amount, it will not be tracked. This is what the government promised, but who knows behind closed door? All right. However, the issue of privacy is too much treasured by the West. And if that's the case, how to introduce the CBDC? For a country to move forward, it is inevitable that CBDC is almost a must now as a substitute to fiat currency, because it is superior quality, all right, of fast, cheap, and 24/7, 365 days, always on. Moreover, it's easy and cheap to issue with a few simple programming, easy to maintain, okay, highly economical to produce, no need for physically print paper money, no loss or damage paper money, very healthy, as paper money is passed from hand to hand to hand, right? Very dirty, full of bacteria. So going forward, there is a very high possibility that every country will have their own CBDC, except that it will be centralized blockchain, of course, controlled by its own government. And each country will have to work out a different formula for their own CBDC. But the formula must be receptive not only to their own citizen, but must also be recognized outside the country. Now, this is where the real tabulation comes into dispute. How should one country's CBDC value be determined, especially when compared to another country's CBDC? Logically, it should be what each country is worth, right? Take a country like Singapore as an example. The fact that Singapore has sufficient foreign reserve gives us a very good head start. Not to forget, our foreign exchange is built from with time and energy spent. In other words, a lot of hard works through high productivity, quality product, and creative output, and saving, of course. Theoretically, the foreign reserve should be divided by its population to arrive at a quantum or a ratio. Just example, one Singaporean is worth 110 Sing dollars, for example, or US dollar, whatever. But America will never agree to such a formula, right? USA has a debt of $32 trillion. And if it's divided by its own population of 336 million, each American has a deficit of $92,000. So, how? The only way for the USA is to declare itself bankrupt. Start from fresh. Bankruptcy is a legal proceeding to carry out to free individuals or business, and in this US case, the government from their debts and start all over again. The only difference in Singapore, Singapore has a credit-worthy value of 110,000 whereas USA will have to start from zero. All right, and though USA already given advantage to start with zero base, but still it's impossible for the USA or America to accept. Also, Europe, UK, Canada, Japan, and all the deficit countries in the world. No deficit country will ever agree to start from zero based. So how? It means CBDC will not work outside the country. America seems to think along the line that each existing US dollar will be converted to one American CBDC. In that case, they should start off with CBDC dollar deficit. Otherwise, no foreign country will accept the American CBDC. And as a matter of fact, the yuan, which is China's CBDC, is more believable because they will be pledged to go as a backup eventually. All right. Long story short, this CBDC is only a dream. They want to adopt this Bitcoin protocol of fast and cheap and secure into the government's CBDC protocol, but it can never be successful because of the simple fact that it is centralized. It is still controlled by the government. Ultimately, a man-made rule. So, despite all the uncertainty, many countries are seriously contemplating on CBDC because of its obvious advantage. It will come, but in what format, nobody knows. Okay, my guess is every country will have their own CBDC to implement within their own country. All right, for internal use only. How to measure against other countries' CBDC is a question to be ironed out internationally. What I just described is there has to be something of global standard, of grand scale where every country can participate. All right, not just a reserve currency like US dollar, which is currently controlled and dictated by the American alone. Right, all other countries have no choice, but all other countries also want to have an international reserve kind of currency that is fair to everybody, that applies to everyone, irrespective of race, color, religion, nationality, and borderless. If you look into that area or that angle, there's no other thing to think of except the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. Well, let's see. Time to tell. Okay? Hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you again. Thank you for watching. Bye bye now.